Praise the Lord, my beautiful blessed souls. I am back here with another video. And we are going to get into Exodus chapter 38 because we already said we are going to get this done. And so here we are getting it done. Okay, so I'm going to start out reading. This is Exodus chapter 38. He made the altar of burnt offering of acacia wood. 5 cubits was its length, and 5 cubits its breadth. Am I in 38 or am I 30? Yes, I am. And it was square. And 3 cubits was its height. Okay, let me start that over. I'm sorry. He made the altar of burnt offering of acacia wood. 5 cubits was its length, and 5 cubits its breadth. It was square, and 3 cubits was its height. He made horns for it on its 4 corners. Its horns were of one piece with it, and he overlaid it with bronze. And he made all the utensils of the altar, and the pots and shovels and the basins and the forks and the fire pans. He made all its utensils of bronze, and he made for the altar a grating for the altar, a network of bronze under its ledge, extending halfway down. He cast 4 rings on the 4 corners of the bronze grating as holders for the poles. He made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with bronze, and he put the poles through the rings on the sides of the altar to carry it with them, and he made it hollow with boards. He made the basin of bronze and its stands of bronze from the mirrors of the ministering women who ministered in the entrance of the tent of meeting. And he made the court for the south side. Hangings of the court were fine twined linen and 100 cubits. Their 20 pillars, their 20 bases were of bronze, but the hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver. And for the north side there were hangings of 100 cubits. Their 20 pillars and their 20 bases were bronze, but the hooks of the pillars and the fillets were of silver. And for the west side were hanging of 50 cubits, their 10 pillars and their 10 basins. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver. And for the front to the east, 50 cubits. The hangings for one side of the gate were 15 cubits with 3 pillars and 3 bases. And so for the other side, on both sides of the gate of the court were hangings of 15 cubits with the 3 pillars and the 3 bases. And all the hangings around the court were of fine twined linen, and the bases for the pillars was of bronze, but the hooks of the pillars and their fillets was of silver. The overlaying of their capitals were also of silver, and the pillars of the court were filleted with silver. And the screen for the gate of the court was embroidered with the needlework in blue and purple and scarlet yarns and fine twined linen. It was 20 cubits long and 5 cubits high in its breadth, corresponding to the hangings of the court. And their pillars were 4 in number, and their bases were 4 bases were of bronze. Their hooks were of silver, and the overlaying of their capitals and their fillets of silver, and all the pegs of the tabernacle and for the court all around were of bronze. These are the records of the tabernacle of the testimony, as they were recorded at the commandment of Moses. The responsibility of the Levites under the direction of Ithamar, the son of Aaron, the priest. Bezalel, the son of Uri, son of Hur, the tribe of Judah, made all the Lord commanded Moses, and with him was Oholiab, the son of Ahisamach, and of the tribe of Dan. And the engraver and designer embroider in blue, purple, and scarlet yarns and fine twined linen. All the gold that was used for the work in all of the construction of the sanctuary, the gold from the offering, was 29 talents and 730 shekels. Wow. I gotta find out what shekels mean and cubits. By the shekel of the sanctuary. So the silver from those of the congregation who were recorded was 100 talents. They were all 1,775 shekels by the shekel of the sanctuary, and a beka a head, that is half a shekel by the shekel of the sanctuary, for everyone who was listed in the records from 20 years old and upward, the 603,550 men. The 100 talents of silver were for casting the bases of the sanctuary and the bases of the veil, and 100 bases for the 100 talents, and a talent base, and of the 1,775 shekels. He made the hooks for the pillars and overlaid the capitals and made fillets for them. The bronze that was offered was 20 talents and 2,400 shekels. With it, he made the bases for the entrance of the tent of meeting, the bronze altar, and the bronze grating for it, and all the utensils of the altar, the bases around the court, and the bases of the gate of the court, all the pegs of the tabernacle, and all of the pegs around the court. So this described, I wonder, okay, so let's see if they describe what shekels are. So God gave Moses instruction to the sanctuary. Israel was been following those directions closely under the supervision of Bezalel. Prior chapters covered by many components needed for the tabernacle. This chapter emphasizes those pieces outside the tabernacle itself. Outside the tabernacle, just inside the entrance to the courtyard, is a bronze covered altar. This is where Israel will perform sacrifices. The altar is made to the exact dimensions given to Moses in Sinai. Placing the altar first symbolizes that communion with the Holy God requires an atoning sacrifice. The courtyard also contains a bronze wash basin between the altar and the entrance to the tabernacle. This indicates that after atonement comes sanctification and cleansing. Most of this extended section repeats God's prior instructions in detail. In this case, scripture simply says that the Bezalel crafted the basins. It also implies that the metal for the basins came from the mirrors donated by the women who served in some capacity. The only other mention of the women ministering at the entrance of the tent of meeting occurs centuries later when the prophet Samuel's corrupt sons were having sex with some of them. Wow. Israel forms the parts to create a courtyard for the tabernacle, just as God commanded. The courtyard is defined by a series of hanging sheets. As with most of this part of the book, the details are copied nearly word for word from the Lord's early instructions in Exodus 38:9-20. The end of this chapter includes a note that Moses assigned Ithamar, one of Aaron's sons, to make records about the tabernacle construction. Bezalel and Oholiab oversee larger workforce, which means the various components. These require great skill and likely intense effort. It seemed Ithamar was also tasked with tracking the amount of metal donated for the tabernacle. Scripture lists the totals: 29 talents plus 730 shekels of gold, 100 talents plus 1,775 shekels of silver, and 70 talents plus 2,400 shekels of bronze. Each talent was about 75 pounds or 34 kilograms. Okay. Each talent was 3,000 shekels, with each shekel weighing about 2/5 of an ounce or close to 11.4 grams. Okay, that would add up to almost 2,200 pounds or almost 1,000 kilograms of gold, as well as 7,500 pounds or 3,400 kilograms of silver. Okay. And 5,300 pounds or 2,400 kilograms of bronze. Each was used for its respective part of the sanctuary. Okay, so that explained it. I was going to have to look it up, but they already gave it to me, so okay, cool. Okay. So now we're going to get into some juicy bits and pieces of it now as well. Okay, Bezalel, having finished the gold work, which though the richest yet was ordered to lie most out of sight in the tabernacle itself, here goes on to prepare the court, which lay open to the view of all. Two things the court was furnished with, both made of brass, is one, an altar of burnt offering. On this, all their sacrifices were offered, and it was this which, being sanctified itself for this purpose by the divine appointment, sanctified the gift that was in faith offered on it. Christ was himself the altar to his own sacrifice of atonement, and so he is to all of our sacrifices of acknowledgement. We must have an eye to him in offering them as God has in accepting them. Oh, okay. Two was a laver to hold water for the priests to wash in when they went in to minister. This signified the provision that is made in the gospel of Christ for the cleansing of our souls from the moral pollution of sin by the merit and grace of Christ, that we may be fit to serve the holy God in the holy duties. This is here said to be made of the looking glasses or mirrors of the women that assembled at the door of the tabernacle. Okay. So that's what that was about. Okay, then it should seem these women were eminent and exemplary for devotion, attending more frequently and seriously at the place of the public worship than others did. And notice is here taken of it to their their honor. Anna was such one long afterwards, who departed not from the temple, but served God with fastings and prayers night and day. Luke 2:37. It seems in every age of the church there have been some who have thus distinguished themselves by their serious zealous and piety, and they have hereby or thereby distinguished themselves for devout women, and are really honorable women. Acts 13:50. And not the less so for their being called by the scoffers of the latter days silly women, but probably these women were such as showed their zeal upon this occasion by assisting in the work that was now going on for the service of the tabernacle. They assembled by troops, so the word is a blessed sight to see so many and those so zealous and so unanimous in this good work. Yeah, because a lot of times they don't talk about women, but the one thing I loved about Jesus, because later on the way he treated women was so much more respectful than the way that they did before. And I love that because, a lot of times we see people talking about the treatment of women. If we're the bride, God would never treat his bride terribly. I mean, we must think about that. If he laid his life down for his bride, he's not in the business of mistreating women. So I really think we need to think about that. Okay, these women parted with their mirrors, which were of the finest brass, furnished for the purpose for the use of the tabernacle. Those women that admire their own beauty are in love with their own shadow and make the putting on of apparel their chief adorning by which they value and recommend themselves, can but ill spare their looking glasses, yet these women offer them to God. Either one as in a token of their repentance for the former abuses of them, or to the support of their pride and vanity. Now that they were convinced of their folly and had devoted themselves to the service of God at the door of the tabernacle, they thus threw away that which thought lawful and useful in itself, yet had been an occasion of sin to them. That's that vanity. Thus Mary Magdalene, who had been a sinner, when she became a penitent, wiped Christ's feet with her hair, in the token of their great zeal for the work of the tabernacle. Rather than the workmen should want brass or not have of the best, they would part with their mirrors, though they could not do well without them. God's service and glory must always be preferred by us before any satisfaction or accommodations of our own. Let us never complain of the want of that which we may honor God by parting with. That's what I'm talking about. Sometimes we gotta give up some stuff. Okay. So they pardoned with them, because they saw themselves. I guess they got convicted. But that Mary Magdalene, that was the alabaster box. I loved it. That is really like one of my testimonies, because honey, when I tell you, when they talk about women in the Bible, and they, Jesus really honored women. And it's not to say it like that. He just respected them. He gave them so much respect. He gave them so much, tender, loving care. He was not harsh and brash, even though he was firm with them. It's just, I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to continue. Okay. Let me see. This is the sum of the tabernacle, and of the testimony. It was counted according to the commandment of Moses for the service of the Levites by the hand of Ithamar and Aaron the priest. Okay, I think I read that part. I read that. So here we have breviate of the account which by Moses appointed the Levites took and kept the gold, silver, and brass that was brought in for the tabernacle's use, and how it was employed. Ithamar, the son of Aaron, was appointed to draw up his account, and was thus by less services trained up and fitted for greater. This is what they talk about, because they did not keep the excess and they were not being greedy about it. And God honors that and he respects that, because you don't see that much anymore. You don't see that. You see people will take the extra and they will use it for themselves, even though it's supposed to be given to God. Bezalel and Oholiab must bring in the account, and Ithamar must audit it, right, and give it to Moses, and it was thus. And all the gold was a freewill offering, and every man bought as he could and would, and it amounted to 29 talents. Okay, we went over that. Yeah, so that's how they knew, because he brought it in, and they audited it. They had the guy Ithamar. He was the one that actually kept track. I guess he was something like the tax collector or the bookkeeper. So that was kind of neat. Okay, so let's get into it because I still haven't found a picture. I said I'm going to find one probably at the end, which will be in chapter 40. And then I'll finally show you the pictures, you guys, of what the tabernacle, all of that look like. Because I don't know if they let us see the inside. If I could find pictures of the inside, trust me, I will, so that we can actually see what it looks like inside and out. Exodus 38 continues the meticulous construction of the tabernacle. As we can see, it was very meticulous. Emphasizing sacred labor, meaning communal offering, and divine order, meaning their time, their energy, their money, they put into it. So they invested, they labored for this. Here's a layered breakdown for you. Okay, sacred structures and ritual implements, altar of burnt offering, that's in verse 1 through 7, made of acacia wood overlaid with bronze, hollow and portable with the rings and poles for transport, includes utensils, pots, shovels, basins, flesh hooks, and fire pans. All bronze, I guess that's what they hang them on. Symbolism represents atonement, purification, and the sacrificial gateway to divine presence. Crafted from the mirrors of the women, which is the bronze basins, who served at the tent of meeting, used for ceremonial washing by the priest. Symbolism mirrors surrendered, ego, relinquished, washing, spiritual equal, preparation, and purity. So that means they let their egos and their pride go. See, that vanity, people, that vanity. So they laid down their egos and they went on ahead and relinquished that and was washed, and it was a spiritual cleansing, preparation, and purity. That was good. Courtyard construction, linen hangings, bronze bases, silver hooks. North and south sides were 100 cubits, and east and west were 50 cubits. Symbolism, boundary between sacred and profane. Wow. Linen equals righteousness. Bronze is equal to judgment. Wow. Isn't that something? You know, they use a lot of things, copper and bronze, a lot of different things. Inventory of materials, gold, 29 talents and 730 shekels. Silver was 100 talents, was 1,775 shekels. So I guess that's the conversion. Bronze was 70 talents, and it converted to 2,400 shekels. Symbolism, communal generosity, divine economy, right, and spiritual accounting. Because remember, God blessed them with this when they came out. Remember, they were able to get the wealth from Egypt when they left. Not only did they, completely destroy Egypt, well, not them, but God did on their behalf, but they bankrupted them. They took their wealth. So God not only see the wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous people. You see that? Okay, got to get that on in there. And so that is what that is about. God gave them the wealth from those evil, wicked ones. And when it was all said and done, all that they had worked for all those 400 or some years and been tortured, God would give it back. He always says he would give you back. He'll pay back double for your trouble. He would pay back 7 times what was stolen from you. The thief must be caught. He is arrested, and he must pay back 7 times what he's stolen. So 7 times worth of your time, your energy, your money, your everything that was stolen. And when you're praying, make sure that when you're praying for your bloodlines, that you're praying for your bloodlines from the beginning, from Adam and Eve's time, because there's a lot that has been. Remember, this thief comes, the Satan comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So when you think about how much he has stolen, killed, and destroyed from the time of Adam and Eve in the garden, especially when it comes to our bloodlines. These things may not be anything we specifically know of ourselves, but you want to pour the blood of Jesus down it. You want to pour the Holy Ghost fire down it, and you want to speak it, meaning declare and decree that they must pay it all back, meaning everything that was stolen from the beginning of the bloodline all the way up until now. Every mental, emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual thing that was taken, stolen, every gift, every talent, every star, every destiny swap. This is what we're supposed to be praying. This is the warfare I was talking about when we're praying to get everything back. Why? Because this is how you're going to get it back, because you don't know what all was taken. When we think about our bloodlines and our lineage, and whether it was land that was stolen, money that was stolen, wages, people were made to work for slavery for free. You see what I'm saying? In different situations. And that was, that's your blood, sweat, and tears. That's your life, is in that, because you labored for it. You worked for it, So you're entitled to it. And then God says double for your trouble, because we're the head and not the tail. We're the lender, not the borrower. We're first and not last. You see that? So mirror sacrifice. Okay. The women's mirror symbolizes a vanity transformed into a vessel of purification, a profound act of spiritual surrender. So they surrendered their pride and their egos to God, and they gave it up, along with giving up the, in the natural, their mirrors that, was helping aid them in their egos. Bronze as an alchemical metal associated with judgment and transformation. The altar and basin become sites of element refinement. So judgment and transformation. So I guess it goes from being judged to being purified to being sanctified to transforming into the new holy, acceptable. Courtyard as a threshold, liminal space, neither fully holy nor profane, where preparation and transition occur. Neither fully holy nor profane. So I guess this is kind of like the in-between, the threshold, right? Okay, an inventory as cosmic ledger echoes the book of life, where every offering is recorded. Material becomes spiritual currency. So I guess, when we're looking at everything here, see, because the way that they look at stuff in the heavenly realms is different from the way we look at them down here. Because our spiritual currency really is more than just money. It's everything. That's why they say when, God looks at everything, our whole life, the book of our life is literally that. Is from the beginning to end, everything we said, everything we did, whether it was good, whether it was bad. And so it just shows us everything. That's why, I don't know, people say that when they have those near-death experiences, that their whole lives flash before their eyes. And I guess that's what that is all about. So anyway, this was very, very, okay. Yeah, because the currency in heaven is different from here. That's why they say don't lay up your riches here, because the currency, what we think of as important here, is not, because gold and silver is plentiful in heaven, and it's not a big deal, but it is to us here because we don't have it like that. It's a scarcity. Well, I don't think it's a scarcity. I think they generally just keep it from us. But anyway, getting back to that just lets us know that this world that we live in, there's certain things that they do here. We can see it, the system of Satan, that they just do what they want. They keep and give what they want to whom they want, when they want, how they want. And the sad part about this whole situation is everything was made for all of us. This earth, the world, we're paying for all of these things that God had already given to us of his own volition. But because the earth was cursed, because all these things happened, this is how we fell into this. But even still, because when Christ redeemed it, we're still, but see, if you're not walking with God, which is how you're going to fight, because people think, they're just going to go into warfare and they're going to listen, before you do that, you must be saved, you must be sanctified, you got to have a relationship with God, you have to be walking with him, because you can't just go warring. And this is why this is so important when it comes to people, when they're conjuring spirits, when they're dabbling into, spiritualism, because they really don't know what they're doing. And when they're conjuring up these spirits or whatever, remember, these are spirits, they're not human flesh like us. So you got to be careful with what you're doing. And I tell people this all the time. Why? Because once you bring them up, bring them out, whatever you're doing, there's no controlling them. You see what I'm saying? They will control you, if anything, even up to, unaliving you. So you got to be careful with what you're doing, because you may think you know what you're doing, and no actuality you don't. And until it happens or something goes wrong, you see what I'm saying? Because you're playing around with stuff you shouldn't be, stuff you really don't know too much about. Or you're just dabbling, getting to know it. And even still, for even those who've been in it for some time, they will tell you things get very, very tricky. Because remember, when you're dealing with the dark side of things, there is no honor amongst thieves. There's no playing fair. There is no justice. There's no honor amongst thieves. So you got to understand that they will backstab each other along with you. You see what I'm saying? So you just got to be careful with these type of things. But anyway, this was a really, really good one. I want to go into 39. I want to see, because let me go into 39 just to see, because I really want to get, because it's just 39 and 40. And I would like to get as much as I can done, because I really want to get into Leviticus. I don't want to rush it, but I do want to get into Leviticus. I've been in Exodus for a while, And then I also want to do the warfare thing because I'm still doing warfare. But Leviticus and the warfare thing is going to kind of go hand in hand, and Deuteronomy as well. That's why I was like, because that will show you some things along with some other things because Solomon and all the rest of them, because I don't know if y'all know about that, but Solomon had a lot of stuff going on himself. So it's refreshing. Let me see. Okay, I didn't want that version like that, but okay. Okay, here it goes. Maybe I can get through this one. Let's see. I didn't want to go through it fast though, but what it says. Okay, so this is 39, and I wonder if I should just actually no. I probably can do 39. Okay, from the blue and purple and scarlet yarns, they made finely woven garments for ministering in the holy place. They made the holy garments for Aaron as the Lord had commanded Moses. He made the ephod of gold, blue and purple and scarlet yarns, and fine twined linen. And they hammered out gold leaf, and he cut into the threads to work into the blue and purple and the scarlet yarns, and into the fine twined linen in skilled design. They made for the ephod attaching shoulder pieces joined to it at its two edges, and the skillfully woven band on it was one of piece with it, and made like it of gold, blue, purple, and scarlet yarns, and fine twined linen, as the Lord had commanded Moses. They made onyx stones, enclosed settings of gold filigree, and engraved like the engraving of a signet, according to the names of the sons of Israel, the tribes, remember. And he set them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod to be stones of remembrance for the sons of Israel, as the Lord had commanded Moses. He made the breast piece in skilled work in the style of the ephod of gold, blue, purple, and scarlet yarns, and fine twined linen. It was square. They made the breast piece double, a span its length and a span its breadth, when doubled. And they set it in 4 rows of stone. A row of sardius, topaz, and carbuncle was the first row, and the second row an emerald, sapphire, and diamond, and the third row a jacinth, and agate, and amethyst, and the fourth row a beryl, onyx, and jasper. And they were enclosed in the settings of gold filigree. There were 12 stones with their names according to the names of the sons of Israel. They were like the signets, each engraved with its name for the 12 tribes. And they made on the breastpiece twisted chains like cords of pure gold. And they made the 2 settings of gold filigree and 2 gold rings, and put the 2 rings on the 2 edges of the breastpiece. And they put the 2 cords of gold in the 2 rings at the edges of the breastpiece, and they attached the 2 ends of the 2 cords to the 2 settings of the figurine. Thus they attached it in front to the shoulder piece of the ephod, and then they made 2 rings of gold and put them at the 2 ends of the breastpiece on its inside edge next to the ephod. And they made 2 rings of gold and attached them in front of the lower part of the shoulder piece of the ephod at its seam above skillfully woven band of the ephod. And they bound the breast piece by its rings to the rings of the ephod with a lace of blue, so that it should lie on the skillfully woven band of the ephod, and that the breast piece should not come loose from the ephod, as the Lord had commanded Moses. I got to find some pictures of this. I would love to find some. I'm going to look because I want to see what it looks like. And I want to, because when you're hearing it and I'm reading it and you're seeing it, it's like it's different to see it. Anyway, he also made the robe of the ephod woven of blue, and the opening of the robe, it was like the opening in the garment with a binding around the opening, so that it might not tear. On the hem of the robe they made pomegranates of blue and purple, scarlet, and yarns, and fine twined linen. They also made belts of pure gold, and the bells between the pomegranates all around the hem of the robe, between the pomegranates and bell, and pomegranates and bell, and pomegranate around the hem of the robe, for ministering as the Lord had commanded Moses. I remember they kept talking about the bell. I think, is this the bell with it? Okay, we're going to get into that. I'm not even going to go. We're going to talk about it later. They also made the coats woven of linen for Aaron and his sons, and the turban of the linen, and the caps of the fine linen, and the linen on the garments of the twine linen, and the sash of the fine twine linen, and of blue, purple, and scarlet yarns, embroidered with the needlework as the Lord had commanded Moses. They made the plate of the holy crown of pure gold, wrote on it an inscription like the engraving of a signet, holy to the Lord, and they tied it to the cord of blue to fasten it onto the turban above, as the Lord had commanded Moses. Thus all the work of the tabernacle of the tent of meeting was finished, and the people of Israel did according to all that the Lord had commanded Moses, so that they did. Then they brought the tabernacle to Moses, the tent and all its utensils, its hooks, its frames, its bars, its pillars, and its bases, the covering of the tan ram skins, goat skins, and the veil of the screen, the ark of the testimony with its poles and mercy seat, the table with all its utensils, and the bread of the presence, the lampstand of pure gold, and its lamps with its lamp set and all its utensils, and the oil for the light, the golden altar, the anointing oil, and the fragrant incense, and the screen for the entrance of the tent, the bronze altar and its grating of bronze, its poles, its utensils, basins, and stand, the hangings, the grating of bronze, the hangings of the court, its pillars, its bases, its screen for the gate of the court, of the cords, its pegs, all its utensils for service of the tabernacle for the tent of the meeting. The finely worked garments for ministering in the holy place, the holy garments for Aaron and the priests, and the garments of his sons for their service as priests, according to all that the Lord had commanded Moses. So the people of Israel had done all the work, and Moses saw all the work, and behold, they had done it as the Lord had commanded, so that they had done it, and the Moses blessed them. Okay, so now we're going to get into some commentary on this one, and this is 39 I just read. Okay, this gives a finishing account of the work, and it's the last things prepared with the holy garments, the ephod and its curious girdle, the onyx stones, the breastplate with the precious stones in it, the robe, the ephod, the coats, the bonnets, and the breeches, okay, for the inferior priests, and the plate of the holy crown. A summary account of the whole work as it was presented to Moses when it was all finished. They also did all of the furniture. Okay. This account of making the priest's garments according to the instructions given. So they all had their stuff made. Everything was taken care of. Holds on. Okay. Okay, let's see. This is the account of making of the priest's garments according to the instruction given. We may observe the priest's garments are called here clothes of service. Note those that wear the robes of honor must look upon them as clothes of service. For them, those upon whom honor is put, service is expected, right? It is said of those that are arrayed in white robes that they are before the throne of God and serve him day and night in his temple. See, this was another thing because a lot they had to do around the clock. Remember, the lamps couldn't go out. Holy garments are not made for men to sleep in or to strut in, but to do service in, and then they are indeed for glory and beauty. The Son of Man himself came not to be ministered unto, but to minister. Right, this is what people fail to realize. That all the 6 paragraphs here, which give a distinct account of making of these holy garments, conclude with those words, as the Lord commanded Moses. The like is not any other foregoing accounts of this in these, more than any of the other apparitions of the tabernacle. They had a particular regard to the divine appointment, both for warrant and for direction. It is an intimation to the Lord's ministers to make the word of God their rule in all their ministrations, and to act in observance of obedience to the command of God, that these garments, in conformity to the rest of the observance of obedience to the command, that these garments, conformity to the rest of the furniture of the tabernacles, were very rich and splendid. The church in its infancy was thus taught, thus pleased with rudiments of this world, but now on the gospel, which is ministration of spirit, to affect and impose such pompous habits as the church of Rome does, under pretense of decency and instruction, is to betray the liberty wherewith Christ had made us free, and to entangle the church again in the bondage of those cardinal ordinances which were imposed only to the time of Reformation. I guess it took about all of the rituals, because a lot of this stuff is not even practiced anymore. I mean, they do, but because Christ came, this is why a lot of that, we don't really have to do all of this anymore. That they were all shadows of good things to come, but the substance in Christ, the grace of the gospel, when therefore the substance has come, it is just to be found the shadow. Christ is our great high priest, right? Because they were doing this because Christ hadn't came yet. So when he undertook the work of our redemption, he put on the clothes of service, right? He arrayed himself with the gifts, the graces, the spirit, which he received not by measure, girded himself with curious girdle of resolution. To go through with his undertaking, charge himself with the curious girdle of resolution. To go through with his undertaking, near his heart engraved them the palms of his hands. He charged himself with all God's spiritual Israel, bore them on his shoulders, carried them in his bosom, laid them near his heart, engraved them on the palms of his hands, and presented them in the breastplate of judgment unto his Father. That's what that was all about when they nailed him to the cross. And lastly, he crowned himself with the holiness to the Lord, consecrating his whole undertaking to the honor of his Father's holiness. Now consider how great this man is. True believers are spiritual priests. The clean linen with all which their all clothes of service must be made is righteous of the saints, and holiness to the Lord must be so written upon their foreheads that all who converse with them may see and say that they bear the image of God's holiness and are devoted to the praise of it. So this is what they're talking about, because a lot of these people are here and they want to be praised themselves, and a lot of this is where you get everyone wanting to be online, you get everyone wanting to do all these things. Why? Because they want to be praised, they want to be worshipped, they want to be idolized. They want to be powerful, influential, and all of these things. But when Christ came, although he was who he was, those things was not what he was doing. He came to serve, and he was a leader, but he served first. And this is what a lot of people do not get. Observe here, the builders of the tabernacle made very good dispatch, was not much more than 5 months of the beginning to finishing of it. Though there was a great deal of fine work about it, such as is usual work of time, embroidering and engraving, not only in gold, but in precious stones. Yet they went through it in all little time. Church work is usually slow work, but they made quick work of this, and yet did it with greatest exactness imaginable. For many hands were employed, all unanimous and not striving with each other, in competition. This expedited the business and made it easy, because we see that a lot, the strife that goes on in the churches, outside of the churches. It is crazy. The competition. The workmen were taught of God, and so were kept from making blunders which would have retarded them. The people were hardy and zealous in the work, impatient till it was finished. God had prepared their hearts, and then the thing was done. Suddenly, resolution and industry and a cheerful application of mind will, by the grace of God, bring a great deal of work to pass in a little time, in less than one would expect. The punctuality observed, their orders did not in the least vary from them. They did it according to all that the Lord had commanded Moses. Note, God's work must be done in everything according to his own will. His institutions neither need nor admit men's inventions to make them either more beautiful or more likely to answer the intention of them. Add thou not unto his words. God is pleased with willing worship, but not with will worship. When they worship themselves, they brought all their work to Moses and submitted it to his inspection and censure, and he knew what he had ordered them to make. And now the particulars were all covered and produced, that Moses might see both that they had made all, omitting nothing, and that they had made all according to the instructions given them, and that if they had made a mistake in anything, it might be forthwith rectified, right? Thus they showed respect to Moses, who was set over the Lord, not objecting that Moses did not understand such work, and therefore that there was no reason for submitting it to his judgment. Know that God, who gave them so much knowledge as to do the work, gave them also so much humility to be willing to have it examined and compared with the model. Moses was in authority, and they would pay a difference to his place. The spirit of the prophets is subject to the prophets, right? And besides, though they knew how to do the work better than Moses, right? This is where we talk about the gifts and the talents that everyone had. Moses had the gift of, what he had, and they had theirs, and there was no competition here. God specifically let them know. Moses had a better and more exact idea of the model than they had, and therefore they could not be well pleased with their own work unless they had his appropriation. Thus, in this all their service of religion, we should labor to be accepted of the Lord, right? Moses, upon search, found all done according to the rule. Everything was to the satisfaction of God. Um, And God agreed. He graciously agreed with the original counsel. God works in us, by us, and fulfilling the good pleasure of his own goodness. And when the mystery of God shall be finished and all his performances come to be compared with his purpose, it will appear that, behold, all is done according to the counsel of his own will, and not one iota or title of which shall fall to the ground or be varied from. Wow. That was really like serious, like, because that was really down to the letter. Moses blessed them. He commended them and signified his approbation of all that they had done. He did not find fault where there was none, exactly as some do who think they disparage their own judgment as if they do not find something amiss in the best and most accomplished performance, right? Just looking for things, or I don't know. In all this work, it is probable there might have been found here their stitch miss, a stroke, and Ari, which would have served for an over curious and citric and animadvert upon, but Moses was too candid to notice small faults where there were no great ones. Right. See, this is what you talk about. When you talk about supervision, when you talk about working together, this is, I'm going to tell you, no, all governors must be a praise to those that do well as terror to evildoers. Why should any take pride in being hard to be pleased? Exactly. He not only praised them, but prayed for them. He blessed them as one having authority, for less is blessed of the better. We read not of any wages that Moses paid for their work, but their blessing he gave them. For though ordinarily the labor be worthy of his hire, yet in this case they wrought for themselves the honor and comfort of God's tabernacle among them would be recompense enough. If thou be wise and shalt be wise for thyself, they had their meat from heaven on free cost for themselves and their families, and their raiment waxed not old upon them, so that they neither needed wages nor had a reason to expect any. Freely you have received, freely give. The obligations we lie under, both in duty and interest to serve God, should be sufficient to quicken us to our work. Though we had not a reward in prospect, but this blessing in the name of the Lord was wages enough for all their work. Those who God employs, he will bless, and those he bless are blessed indeed. The blessings he commands is life forevermore. So when we think about all of this, everything you think about this, I think about working, right? I think about a job and completing it. I think about the managerial situations, the supervisors, the managers, the operations people, then the people that's doing the actual work. And as you can see, because honey, these jobs, these people, these places, these things, when I tell you sometimes this hit home, because a lot of times I would say you work with people, or whether it's in your household, because working with people can be either as at a job, it could be either in church, it could be any type of function, if it's putting on a wedding, putting on a funeral, any type of function, birthday parties. This reminds me of people who do events. But whatever it is, each person has their task to do. They're skilled at something, and then you let them do what they're doing. Like you said, you don't have to be this overzealous person just nitpicking just to be nitpicking. And this is what I can't deal with. Ooh, and when I tell you. And then people are called to serve. You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, it's about service. Also, when it comes to wages, because some things it is about wages and some things are not. As you can see, God provided them with everything they needed daily. So as far as them charging him, it just reminds me of like when your children stay with you and then they don't want to pay for anything. It's like, what are you doing? I provide you with everything. You can at least give something, a tithe, or not a tithe or offering. That's what we give to God. But I'm just saying, an appreciation. Help do something. Don't just let, the burden be just on the person. On top of that, when you're at work and you're doing, whatever it is you're doing, a lot of times, because see, the world we live in, I'm just going to tell you, a lot of times these people be opposite. They don't appreciate your work. They don't, and that's just the world that we live in. And it's sad sometimes. And not to say all places are like this, but there's a lot of them. When they get to the point where they get so big and they just don't really care about the employees at the bottom, or they don't care about the people that they serve. Because after a while, that kind of happens. You see, the bigger that the company grows or the bigger that they get, they just start to fall away from service. Meaning they've gotten so high, with like the women with the mirrors. They're so vanity filled, they're so envy and, pride filled and ego filled that they just don't care anymore. That's the one thing I just can't stand, because it's like without the employees, even if they're down at the bottom, you wouldn't be able to have your company, because if everyone walked out, what would you do? No one person can do every job. So it's like working together. I don't care where you are and what you have going on, whether it's within your family, whether it's within, just life, your spouse, your children, your family, your siblings. I mean, this world has just taught us to be, to be in competition, to not work together, to back and forth with each other, which is really not good, because that is confusion. That is of the devil. That is, what is it? Confusion. That is, I can't remember the word right now on the top of my tongue. Strife. And God is not the author of strife. He's not the author of any of these things. He wants peace. He wants people to work well together. He wants us to get along. We all his children. He doesn't want us fighting amongst each other. He don't want, and that's just like even us parents. We don't want our children fighting amongst themselves. We don't like those type of things, and we don't want other people coming in and having them fight. We don't, you know what I'm saying? We want them to work well together, to love one another. To be able to deal and handle each other. If, no one's perfect. Things gonna arise, but it's how you handle it. So I mean, it just really is. When you look at this, I see so many different things in this passage, not just getting any type of task that you want to accomplish that's going to take more than one person to do, whether it's building a business, you want to have your own company, but you yourself, you have the vision, but you have to hire people. You see what I'm saying? You can't do every job yourself. You're not an expertise in everything yourself. So you have to find other people to work for you, but you got to be able to be appreciative of your people, and they got to be able to want to work for you. You see what I'm saying? It's like not just for the money, but just overall, because you respect them, you appreciate them. This is, and then when it comes to the people that you're serving, you don't want to put out anything that's not of quality. You don't want to, disrespect your customers, your clients, because that could bring your business way down. Why? Because you can't just be like, oh, well, no, you have to respect your clientele. I mean, that just is what it is. So it's like, a lot of things pop up at me when I see this, and they work well no matter what was going on. Even if they had squabbles, you didn't really see it, or they didn't really speak about it, and they actually got it done, and got it done precisely as God wanted them to get it done. So that in itself is just a blessing. And it was very tedious, it was very precise, it was very to the point, and not a whole lot of room for error. You see what I'm saying? So that was really something that took a group effort. That took someone to be in charge, someone to be, over this, to oversee that, the management, this, the that, and to get it all done. You know what I'm saying? And the finished product was everyone chipped in, everyone worked on it, everyone did something, and it was all worth something, and it's something that they all can share together. No matter what their position was, whether it was high up, low down, in the between, in the middle, no job was undervalued. Everything was appreciated because it all was needed in the end. And when we look at Christ and what he has done and how he brings us all together in all actuality, how he came, he was meek, he served, he didn't ask for money, he didn't do all these things. And we look at us here and we see that, a lot of it is just not that way anymore. It's like they have taken and just done what they wanted to do with it, because we're supposed to be following Christ, because human beings are not the example of Christ is. So it's not that we're supposed to be following each other, we're supposed to be following Christ. But as you can see, social media, everything, this is a follow culture. No one has their own mind, it's a following, everyone needs to have, their own brain, but they don't. You look at the beefs, you look at the trends. Everyone, is doing the same thing basically, because no one has a brain or a mind or think of their own. Everyone's just basically saying and doing what everyone else is saying and doing to fit in, to look the same, to act the same, walk, talk, be the same. It's crazy. God didn't call us to be the same. He called us to be different, unique. He broke the mold when he made each and every one of us. So we all have something to contribute in our own way, whatever that may be. And everyone person's thing is them, their strengths, their weakness, everything is set precisely, specifically for them. Whether it's blessings, whether it's gifts, talents, whether it's temptations, whatever it may be in your life, everything is specifically tailored for you. It's like when everyone wants to be doing the same thing or having the same thing or looking the same, you see with the bodies, you see with the hair, you see with the clothing, you see with all of these different things. It's like, where's the originality anymore? What happened, to people thinking for themselves? Is like, Everyone's following the wave, and God speaks about that too, because the path, the way, the truth, and the light, the narrow path is narrow, not too many find it. So the majority that's going in the direction they're going in is really not, that's the path to destruction. That's the path to Satan. So when we look at these things just in life in general, and I'm not saying this to beat down anybody or anything, just so that you can pay attention to what's going on. Because the moment someone says something is outside of what you think or agree with, it's a problem. It's like, I don't get it. We don't agree. Okay, fine. And a lot of times it's just the person that's saying it. They don't like the person that brings. If someone else came and said it to them, then they would accept it or something like that. But if it's just for your own good, and I'm just sitting here, whatever it is we're discussing, take what's for you, leave what it's not. Listen, if that's how you feel about it, that's fine. I'm just here to go through it. I'm here to speak about it. We're going to conversate, break it down, and just look at it and put it in our own lives. You see what I'm saying? So that we can understand it. And it's about working together, because that's what we're supposed to be doing as a body. We're supposed to be working together as the church, as the body, as, siblings in Christ. And like I said before in so many other videos, they love to separate us. They love to put us against each other, whether it be for race, gender, whether it be for color, whether, financially, educational, whatever it is, whether it's vanity, whether it's, whatever. They love to put us against, in competition with each other, to make each other feel like one is better, one is less. And this is a problem. Because everything is not a competition. It's not supposed to be a competition. When one person is strong in this area, the other person weak in that area, you work amongst yourselves. In the area this person is strong in the area then that one is weak in that area, you're strong in that. That's the way it's supposed to work and go together. But a lot of people, what we're doing now is just not. It's just not it. But you can just kind of see it. It's just all over in the world. And it's crazy. The pot calls the kettle black a lot. It's like this one says this, that one says that. It's like everybody has hypocrisy, got their own little thing going on. It's like, oh, you did this, oh, you did that. And then it's like, but you're doing that. Y'all doing the same thing. What's so different? I don't get it. I don't understand it. So just wanted to get that said. But I'm still going to be looking. So I did chapters 38 and 39. And tomorrow I will do 40. And then we'll be done. But I want to do the little co-pilot, the little commentary at the bottom for me, because I wanted to see what did it really say about, because I look up different things on different platforms. And sometimes it's got questions. I'll do Matthew Henry. I'll do different ones. They have a lot of different ones that you can get a lot of information from. The narrative of the ark was deliverance from Egypt, Israel's oppression under Pharaoh. God delivered them. He wanted to set them aside. Why? He wanted to show them, be his people. He wanted to introduce himself to the world, to let the world see that there is a God. He is the one and only God, the creator of everything, all living things, and he wanted them to know him. Moses calling in confrontation with Pharaoh was all about God sending him to what? To let them know, listen, this is God. I know you worship your own gods, but this is a real God. This is the one and only real truth God. Then he sent the 10 plagues to show him, to show his judgment, to show who he is, to fact check them, because every plague that he sent was based off of the gods and deities that they were serving there, and that was to show them that those gods, meaning they weren't really gods, they were those little spirits, and God is over them, meaning he's over the devil, he's over all of that. So he had to shut all of that down, and that's how he shut Pharaoh and all of them up. So the Passover and miraculous crossing of the sea, that was another thing. He was showing himself to be who he is in the earth, okay? Not just in the spiritual realm, but it was manifesting. He made sure it manifested here for all of them to see in the natural realm, from the spiritual realm. Covenant formation, provision in the wilderness. This is where he fed them. He took care of them, gave them everything, the manna, the wet water, the quail. It was revelation at the Mount Sinai, giving them the rules and the regs, discussing who he is, what he wants, what he expects from his people, what he's going to do for them, what he's promising them. He's got the altar, the covenant, the contract. He's there ready to sign. Let's do this. This is what we're doing. Why I chose you people. I want you to be my people. And we're going to go throughout this world and they're going to see you are a different people. You belong to me. Giving them the 10 commandments. This is what this was all about. That's the rules and the regs for living down here. And it's down here on earth as it is in heaven. Remember, covenant ratification through the blood and communal assent, meaning that is the altar, the covenant, the contract, the sacrifice. This is what all of this stuff is about when it comes to rituals, when it comes to warfare. This is what this is all about. Chapters 25 to 40, the tabernacle and divine presence, detailed instruction for the sacred architecture, meaning how to build it. Priestly garments, the sacrificial systems. He picked everyone. He chose them. Not everyone was picked, but everyone was chosen to do something. Not everyone, yeah. Everyone's called, you were chosen. Priestly garments, sacrificial systems, and ritual timing. So he's letting them know what he wants, how he wanted specifically. Once again, golden calf incident and intercession. That was when they, went off into their own little thing and became disobedient, and he had to bring them back. So construction of the tabernacle as a dwelling place for him. Why? Because he renewed the covenant, and he said he would continue with them, even though they were stiff-necked people. Exodus is an archetypal journey from bondage to freedom, chaos to order, flesh to spirit. Beautifully, beautifully. Moses initiated raised in Pharaoh's house, exiled, and then transformed into the prophet, the same one who would go back, mirroring death and rebirth to bring them out. Remember, Pharaoh was after him, he was killing them off way before that. Plagues as cosmic disruption. Each plague dismantles Egyptian deities and natural order, asserting Yahweh's supremacy to them. This is what I was talking about when we talk about all of these different religions and nationalities. This is what set God, our God, Jehovah, Elohim, Yahweh, Yeshua, him. And then there's the Christ. And then there's the Holy Spirit. It sets them aside because it lets you see who really rules and who reigns supreme. That whatever these other deities can do, they are not the supreme deity, meaning they're counterfeits. They are copycats, they are wannabes, they are of the other kingdom, the other system of the world, which is the devil, Satan, Lucifer. They're not of the godly. Why? Because he plainly battled with them, meaning showed them, put them in their place to show that they are not as powerful, or they're not who they're portraying themselves to be. So that's the lie and the deceit. That they're portraying themselves to be the God. They're not the God. They want to be gods themselves, of course, but they are not the God, and they're not a God. They're just these deities that are wannabes. So now, tabernacle as a microcosm, a portable Eden reflecting heavenly architecture and spiritual guidance, meaning a place where they can meet with God, because that's basically what Eden was. It was a sacred place that God created for them to dwell in, where he can come and meet with them. So that's what this is about, creating a space where they can come and they can have communion once again with God, because this is outside of Eden when he used to walk and talk to them every day. Now they done fell into sin, so all of this stuff has changed and he's redeeming it. Divine feminine in Exodus, midwives, Miriam, and the women who defy Pharaoh's decree, agents of hidden deliverance. So when the midwives just did not follow Pharaoh's decree when he was telling them to kill them off and all of these other things. So this is but that was all part of the plan, because Moses had to be born. He had to come through. So this is what we mean when we talk about God knew you before you were born. You were already chosen. There's other people out here who were chosen for specific tasks in their lives. They were put here, born just for these positions, these purposes, these assignments. And when you look at your life, if your life is going through a lot of stuff, you might want to take a look at that, because God might be really your assignment may be tied to something heavy. And if you're having a hard way in life and you're not serving God, that may be one of the reasons. So you might want to investigate that for yourself. Sacred time and space, the calendar, priestly watches, and ritual cycles as portals to divine alignment. Remember, this is what these people do. They watch the stars, the heavens, they do all this illegal stuff to try to figure out what God is doing, to foretell the future, all these different things. And God forbids these things. Why? Because he does not want us to have certain knowledges of certain things. Why? We're supposed to be here, and we're not supposed to be just moving and going off on our own. Yes, we have free will, but at the same time, we're not God. So we're not God, meaning we're not. we're made in his image. We're not him, meaning him with the power and authority. Now, when you walk with him, he'll allow you to have some power and authority and do some things, of course. But when you're not, it's a little bit tricky, a little bit different. And this is why I believe they changed the calendars, the days of the week, and all these things, because they want to deceive us. They want to trick us. They don't want us to know. They want to know certain things, and they don't want us to know. Remember, during Noah's time, they came down the Anunnakis and Nephilims, and they were speaking to them about stuff that they weren't supposed to know. This is where all of this come from. These practices that they were doing were illegal. They were not of God, meaning the way that they were practicing them, the stuff that they were doing. It was knowledge that was actually illegal to be given out. So now, alchemy of liberation, Egypt as a crucible, wilderness as refinement, Sinai as a transmutation. So the wilderness is their transition period. So this is where they are. They're not where they were, meaning still in bondage in, Egypt, but they're not quite in the promised land either yet. So this is God's refining. He's sanctifying. He's taking everything out. He's renewing their minds. Why? Because they've been in bondage, and this is the time to sanctify, to heal, to deliver, to restore them. Mind, body, spirit, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, spiritually. Why? Because all this time they were bound, and it takes time. Remember, Stockholm syndrome is something they talk about now. That's when your mind is still hung up or you can't move forward. This is what this is about. So although they were free, they didn't know they were free, because mentally you still gotta. Why? Because sin in this world that you grew up in, that's all you knew. It takes time. It took you time to get there, meaning that's all you knew all your life. It's going to take you time to get that out of you. But this is the sanctification process of where God is stripping them and taking away all that they knew and trying to give them something new and different, which is his way and his will and what he wants of them. Why? Because that's the better way. It's not the way of the world. It's the way that God wants us to live and be here. That was our original way of living. So when you see that going on, that's that. And then the transmutation, Sinai. So that's when they are, coming out. I guess that's like the caterpillar and the butterfly, when it goes in and it's in this cocoon and then it comes out the butt. And this is what this is all about, the rebirth, when the seed goes into the ground, it has to die. It cannot remain a seed in order for it to bring forth fruit, the life, the plant life, a tree, whatever. Right. It's the transition. It can't stay the same. It has to. That's the new wine and the old wineskin and new wine. You can't do it. You got transition. You got to be crushed as a grape to make wine. You can't remain a grape. You see what I'm saying? All of you, in order to become a diamond, you have to be crushed. You have to be refined. You have to go through the purification process. It's not easy. It is not. Oh, I must tell you, it is a hard process. Oh, Jesus, it hurts. Yes, it does. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it doesn't. It does. It ain't easy, but it is worth it. Yes, it is. So that is actually 38 and 39 that I've just done. So I will do 40 tomorrow. I will conclude, and hopefully I can find some pictures, because that's what I've been looking for. Some pictures of the Ark of the Covenant, the tabernacle, inside and out, the colors, all of these little different things, so we can see what it actually looks like inside and out, which I don't know if they were all allowed to go inside, because I think it was just a priest. But if I can find it, I'll find it. I'll be looking up whether it's Google Images or history, whatever. If I gotta go searching and digging all over just to find it, hopefully I'll be able to find, one that's close to what they're describing, and we can actually see it for ourselves what it actually looked like. But anyway, we are bruised and not broken. I am here with another one. I love you guys, and tomorrow we're gonna do 40, and we're gonna go into Leviticus. We're gonna go. The warfare in Leviticus is going to be good, in Deuteronomy. They're going to be so good hand in hand. That's going to be something really good. And then I'm in Isaiah, but Isaiah is him, Jeremiah, and what's the other one? Honey, they were no joke. If you've ever read those, it's some stuff going on in them books there. When I talk about some seriousness, it is some seriousness. But anyway, I love you guys. We are bruised and not broken. I do not ask for any monies. I just ask that you like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and let it be shared, because we are all here going through this thing called life, and we are so trying to find out each and every little thing that we need to be knowing about God, about life, how to what kind of implement it into our lives, not to just be hearers and seers of the word, but to be doers of the word and living in the word. What is this? Today is the second. To know God. Okay, the Lord is good and a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him. It's Nahum 1 and 7. By his divine power, God has given us everything we need for living a godly life. We have received all of this by coming to know him, the one who called us to himself by means of his marvelous glory and excellence. 2 Peter 1 and 3, and that's what that's all about, because he created us all, everything here. And it's for a purpose, it's for a reason, it's for assignment, and we need to be finding out what that's all about. Then we have this, okay. Soul desire, one thing that I ask from the Lord, this only thing do I seek, that I might dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to gaze on the beauty of the Lord and to seek him in his temple. And that's Psalms 27 and 4. So I'm going to leave you with that, guys. I love you. Be blessed. Be blessed. Bruised and not broken. Okay, until the next video. Hopefully tomorrow I can get it out. 40. So this is 38 and 39. Yes. Okay, later. Love you. Smooches.